Howdy, this is Chris with M2Skins. We're going to be taking a bit of a different approach here today. We're actually going to be doing a narration install on this quaintly adorable little Framework desktop. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Framework, but they started making upgradable laptops, and this year they decided to offer a mini PC or small form factor. Really powerful for what it is. So we've got one here. We were asked to do skins for it, so we're going to do a narrated install guide to see if that is something that is more helpful to you folks for installing. So let's get into it. As always, you want to use your included towel to really wipe the surface and remove any oils or dust or debris or anything like that can get underneath the skin as you're applying it. We're going to start on this blank side here on the rear of it, or I guess the opposite side of where the fan is. You want to start by making sure you peel from all angles. Again, these things travel in the heat. They can expand, contract. We don't want to stretch it inadvertently. There is a little bit of stretch built into the design, but I want to make sure we get a nice fit going forward. I always like to start on the bottom side, and I'll pick like a corner with a seam. I'll try to align it parallel with the opposite corner, so I'll do a little spot tack. Our standard vinyls are pressure sensitive for tacking, so you can just give it a little bit of pressure and it should grip. Okay, I'm gonna rotate this around here. You can use your tweezers if you don't want to if you try to use your fingers, sometimes it'll create additional slack. So I'll just use tweezers, give it a small little tug to that opposite corner. And then a final corner right there. You should be able to tack it down. You want to work from the center outward to prevent air bubbles getting trapped in the middle of the skin. All right, let's move on to the top here. Again, same thing, you want to make sure you're peeling from all angles because you don't want to inadvertently stretch it by just peeling from one side. I know it may look like it, but these circles are not actually equidistant from the edges here, so you can use the circles, actually the flap goes towards the rear. You can use the circles as your baseline anchor point and make sure they're both lined up as they should be, like so. Just double confirm the edge. That looks about right. A little off there. There we go. That's better. And again, same thing. You want to just tack it down. At least we'll do the flaps next. For the side flaps, now you've seen this in other videos if you watch any of our install guides. You really want to make sure, these are sharp edges, so you really want to make sure you're working gradually along. You don't want to just immediately push down the side flap because you can actually trap air at the corner. So I just work back and forth, tacking it even a little by little over the edge as you go. And then if you don't have there's an optional handle accessory here. If you have these little screws, we made little accent pieces for the screws. You can just use your tweezers to get in there. All right, now let's do the side panel. This one does not have the translucent panel. This has obviously the black panel. So we did make an accent piece that includes the exhaust port for the power supply. And much like the other side, again, I like to choose the bottom edge here. Just find a corner, find the other corner, make sure it's parallel. Make sure your exhaust port is lined up. Tack it down. Tack it down. A note about the design, you'll notice it doesn't come straight up to the grid. What we were trying to do here is just mirror the gap. There's a gap up here, and this is way too thin to do a skin for. So we just mirrored it so it looks symmetrical on each side. That down. All right, now let's do the front panel. and I'm gonna pull it off to make it easier for this. The front panel is very thin, so again, if you're ever gonna be very careful peeling this off, there's a lot of thin pieces here. It is undersized a little bit, again, because we wanted to account for if people inadvertently stretched it unknowingly while they're peeling, but it's only barely undersized. All right. Now you just want to lightly lay it down, and I'll start at the bottom here. Now I'm gonna wrap this, I'm gonna use the corners of the tile grid. Just align that in the button here. Should hug it pretty tight. Okay, now let's tack down. Just give it a gentle little tug and do the same thing on the other side. That should be pretty straight. Now if we toss this around here, oopsie. You should have a slight tug to get it up to that opposite corner. Again, not too much. We didn't go crazy with the shrink. And then same for this corner here. For the tug. The tweezers are so important for this because it's like you can hold this down with your hands, and the tweezers, they don't stick to the vinyl as much as your fingers do. And then you're just going to use the tweezers, and you're going to pull this edge here to align it with the top of the grid. We're gonna do that for the other two sides here, just to line it up. So I go down the side here, and I'm just moving it ever so slightly to align that edge and tacking as I go. If you find yourself with bubbles, or waves rather, we typically call them fingers in the vinyl world, but see there's a little bit of slack here. You wanna try to distribute that as much as you can across it, because the vinyl will actually, if you apply perpendicular pressure to it, it will actually shrink. So that way there we get a nice clean edge. We're gonna do the same for this side. Again, just going, making sure we're aligning to that line. And tacking as we go. Looks like I stretched this a little bit, but that's okay. There we go. And now we can do the same thing where we're working gradually down the side of the panel. Back and forth. There we go. And down, back. Looks pretty good. And put that back on the front there. And then lastly, we've got the rear. Actually, not lastly, we're gonna do the silver trim last. And now on the rear pieces, you'll notice we have a couple pieces of tack tape. Really, there's a lot of thin lines here. So this tack tape is really here to add a little rigidity to it so that's not flopping all over the place while you're trying to put it on. So I'm gonna start with the ITX panel. All right, and see how that kind of is a little bit firmer. And this, you're gonna wanna pay attention to the grid lineup, the port lineup. I usually pay more attention to the ports. If the ports are looking good, then the rest will line up too. Like so. You want to give it a nice firm tack, because this is going to make it stick to the ITX panel as opposed to the tack tape, right? And then you should be able to slowly remove the tack tape. Again, this is very thin, so these can peel up. So if you slowly remove close to the panel, it should be fine. Just push down anything that comes up. All right, and then we've got the rest of the back here. I'll move this into the center of the frame. This has very thin pieces, so again, be very careful while you're peeling. tweezers are gonna come in handy for this one. I'm gonna try not to get my head in the frame here. It's just hard to see the ports, the exhaust ports. There we go. I'm using what I see as my top right port here. Switch to the other side again because I can't look directly over it. Typically I'd be looking straight over it. I'm going to do the best I can from an angle here. You're going to do a much better job at this than I. Okay. I think that looks lined up. I'm just going to double check with my center alignment here. Just it looks like it's fading down just slightly. So just hold it up a little bit and snug it. There we go. Again, use some pressure. All right, now we should be able to pull this guy to the corner. I can grab it. This corner here. And the two legs. So with this one, I'm just going to use this guy to make sure that we're as straight as we can be. Again, I can't look directly over it. Final leg here. Okay. Now again, same thing. We want to be very careful peeling this tack tape. Looks like it's been sticking just fine. Okay. We're on the home stretch. So I like to do this front panel, like you don't have to put this on. This is just in case you want to cover up the silver accents at the bottom. We did this in multi-piece to make it easier to install. Originally we had one piece that just wrapped all the way around. And while it looked better, it was a bear to install. So you want to line up with that top edge. Center that. Again, you're keeping this edge aligned up here. Just a small little tug to clear the slide out port. You can wrap that around. And then the same on this side. Again, you're giving it a small little, just a little tug. Not too much, you don't want to stretch it, it's very thin. Actually, I'm just going to realign that. Go. And it should roughly align with the edge here. And we've got these side pieces. Just move this over here. So you just want to butt that right up against that. And that. Just pull it taut. Look at that. We got a rear piece here. Now there is some round edges here, so we didn't go straight up against the edge. But you want to do one side. And that again, you're pulling with your tweezers just ever so slightly to stretch it across. And then the final piece is this side here, this little strip. Up against the seam. Okay. is it. This framework desktop now has a nice satin white skin on it. There we go. Had to tack the corners down a little bit. There you go. Cheers, guys.